All right. Well, welcome to NFL Outdated's Cover 2 series, and we are covering NFL teams, and we are here today going to talk about the New York Jets, and we are here with New York NY Jets _ Mikey J on Twitter, and I'm excited to have you here to
Excited to
talk
be
about
here,
the
man.
Jets. Yeah. And obviously, talking a little bit earlier here, the Jets aren't a Super Bowl team, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're struggling, but we're looking like a team on the rise, up and coming.
And that's what you kind of need, And how long have you been a Jets fan then?
So, 15 years now. So I'm 27. So I was a fan when I was 12 when I first started playing football. When I started playing football, I became a corner, and they said, "Hey, go pick a team, go find a player." So I kind of fell in love with the Jets. My mom was a Giants fan, and she goes, "Hey, go watch the Giants game." Giants were playing the Jets that week, so I ended up actually falling in love with the Jets instead of the Giants. So she was kind of mad, but yeah, I've been a Jets fan ever since.
So who are some of the players that you looked up to then?
So of course, I mean, you guys say Darrell. He wasn't really with the Jets back then, but Darrell Reeves, Deion Sanders was a guy I looked at when I was playing. Chris McAllister. So I am from Perth Amboy, New Jersey, but I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and Chris McAllister went to U of A. So I heard all about this Chris McAllister kid, and he was just phenomenal with the Ravens. And then another kid that kind of only played, I think he played 3 years in the NFL, but Antoine Cason was another U of A kid. Played for the Chargers. Got to meet him a few times, so I kind of really just fell in love with those guys' type of game. Physical cornerback play, more man coverage type of dudes, and then I mean prime time was just everything.
Oh, absolutely. That's interesting that you went on defense. I thought you were going to go good old Wayne Corbett or Chad Pennington, all that stuff.
No. I mean, I tried the offense, but it was too pretty for me. I like the defense side of the ball. It's where my mind's at. It's where my heart's at. So I like that a lot more.
So, kind of going with that, obviously, defensively, you see kind of what, the Jets are doing. And that's, something that obviously not a lot of people are focusing on right now. We can go ahead and start with the defense.
Yeah.
What are you seeing with that defense? And is there kind of any hope going forward?
So the Jets defense, it seems like every year they're always a top 15, top 10 unit. It always just seems that way. Which isn't a bad thing. I think the fans are tired of seeing like a great defense. They want to see kind of the opposite, great offense. But the Jets defense is the reason why we're in these games in a sense. I mean, we're top 10 already, and it's been 3 weeks. If you think about it, 16 points or 19 points to the Panthers. We were in the game for the Patriots while Zach Wilson still threw 4 interceptions, and we're in the game last week, except for one bad run where we couldn't make a tackle. So being top 10 in defense, that's going to help Zach Wilson out in the long run. So the defense is looking great. Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich are doing their job for sure. And a lot of people are losing their mind when we released Bless Austin. I mean, he was an unproven talent. He had one good 6 games his rookie stretch and then kind of fell off his sophomore year. Mm-hmm. And Michael Carter, too, is just looking like an absolute stud as a rookie.
Well, and that's, obviously he was taken highly. Michael Carter was taken highly in a lot of the drafts. Tell me a little bit more about, the running backs there. Obviously, you got Michael Carter. What about some of the other ones, this year, maybe even in the future?
So love the running back situation besides Perine right now and kind of Coleman. If you asked me 2 years ago, would I want Coleman over Frank Gore? Absolutely. Let's do it. I'd rather see Coleman do a halfback dive 4 times in a row instead of Frank Gore. But right now, this is Michael Carter and Ty Johnson's team. We'll see how Perine fits in this week. I mean, I know he's back from his illness. But Ty Johnson's kind of been underwhelming right now. He was supposed to be this lead back. He really showed out the last few weeks of the last season. Mm-hmm. 2 drops last week. I mean, not really doing much in pass blocking. It's like atrocious. But Michael Carter is looking like an absolute stud. He averages almost 10 yards a catch when he catches the ball. He has 2 drops this season as well. A little bit better in pass pro. Not the greatest, but a little bit better. I mean, I think he ranks, I look, second in the NFL or rookies with missed tackles or forcing missed tackles. That's huge. We got to get the ball in his hand. And he also led the team in touches last week. So it looks like he's taking over that RB1 spot 3 weeks into the season.
So does he kind of look like maybe even going forward into future years that he is going to be that like bell cow back, or will the Jets kind of really lean on that, or is it more running back by committee?
So I think it's to be running back by committee. I mean, that's kind of like the LaFleur system or the Shanahan system.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Johnson is going to be a free agent next year, so let's see if they do re-sign him. I'm kind of leaning towards they might go free agency, they might re-sign him. There's also a kid. When I was in Tucson, he was playing at South Point High School, and I was at Texas, named Bijan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
He's a kid that I've been talking about all over Twitter that I would love to see the Jets draft. He's going to be more of a kid that if you draft him, he's going to be the workhorse. Like, you're getting him 20, 30 touches a game. So that's kind of the issue I'm running into. But I think Michael Carter going forward is going to be the primary back for the future, where he's getting 50 to 60% of the touches.
Right. You said kind of draft wise, like what are some, like going into the draft, like next year, what are some of the areas that they will need to address? Because obviously they're not a Super Bowl team yet. They've got a lot of pieces to bring in.
Yeah. So for the Jets, they're not going to be, you can't build Rome over a day, right? So you get Zach Wilson, your franchise quarterback. You got Nakai. You got your left side of the line. Solid. I mean, Elijah Vera Tucker's having kind of a struggling pass blocking first 3 games, but he'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, okay, well, I got Fant on a 1-year deal. Morgan's on a 1 more deal. Greg Van Rott and Connor McGovern have just been atrocious on the line. So you're probably looking at the center from Iowa. That's, I think, every Jets fan right now. If you ask them, who do you want first?
You see my shirt
here. He's an
Yeah.
absolute unit. He's just a monster. That's also a Joe Douglas type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So just the feel on Jets Twitter is give me the guy from Iowa. So build the line. The defensive line's great. You don't need to touch them. And then
like the line is not the sexy pick in the draft, but really, even as a Bears fan, we talk about the offensive line has just been terrible, and that's where you need that to protect your franchise quarterback, your franchise players.
I think Justin Fields probably has the least amount of time. Right above Zach Wilson. Those 2 guys are not getting enough time. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think when we drafted Nakai, people wanted Wirfs. And I think with the injury concerns, people are getting a little bit like, oh, is it time to replace Becton? I mean, his injury was not his fault. It has nothing to do with his weight. He got rolled up on. But yeah, Tyler from Iowa, I think, is the direction the Jets need to go. If you got to trade up, get him. If you got to trade back from, we're right now in the range of pick 1 to 3. Go ahead and get him. I know a lot of people want Derek Stingley from LSU, but if our young cornerbacks keep playing this way, there's no need to draft a corner at pick 1 to 3. So you either go an edge from Oregon, which I would absolutely love because Carl Lawson's coming back next season. And then you have John Franklin Mayers, who can be a rotational player.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you are really thinking about it, outside linebackers are real weak. You have 2 guys who converted from safety to play an outside linebacker in the NFL. Completely different game.
Absolutely.
So outside linebacker, center and guard, I think, need to be the priority right now, and then re-sign Morgan, Moses. So that's what I would tackle. I'm not a general manager, but I think the fans are seeing on the field what the product is, and your offensive line. I mean, I would draft 4 positions if I had to on the offensive line and make sure just get it one right.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, you don't necessarily have in the draft, generational players or, players on the line, and you see like Wirfs, I saw him at Iowa, how good he was, and obviously how good he was for the Bucs. Now, obviously it helps you with Tom Brady, but he had a fantastic rookie year, and those are the type of players that can really, be that difference between just a playoff team to a Super Bowl team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and then Iowa's just produced great linemen. There's schools where you look at where they're coming from, like, that's a lineman school, that's a quarterback school, that's a receiver school. Iowa's just producing great offensive and defensive linemen. I think they had a defensive tackle go in the top 10 last year or top 15. Can't remember. But
they did. Yep.
Yeah, so
speaking of, some of the cornerstone players, obviously, now the Jets in the draft will not have to draft a quarterback. So how are you feeling about Zach Wilson, obviously now and in the future?
So I still feel really comfortable. So last season, when we were still in the hunt for Trevor Lawrence, my buddy was a Rams fan talking about how he hated Jared Goff. And I brought up like, hey, there's a kid creating a lot of buzz, Zach Wilson from BYU. You check him out. Fate has it, we end up getting him. And so I already had some research done on Zach Wilson because I'd always tell my buddy about him. So I fell in love with the pick. I absolutely I love his kid. His mindset is a lot different from Sam Darnold. And that's what people kind of forget is Sam Darnold's having all this success over in Carolina, but it was like the Carson Wentz effect. Shoulders down, he was great. Up top, I think the New York media just got to him. Mm-hmm. And every time Zach Wilson goes to an interview, anything, he answers it like he's been in the NFL for 10 years. I mean, he's absolute pro. So from that standpoint, I already feel comfortable with him. Looking at like what he's doing now, 2 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, people are like, okay, he's a bust. Well, every quarterback in this rookie class, Trevor Lawrence has 9 turnovers. And he leads the NFL. He's not a bust.
They've all been terrible. Right.
Oh, absolutely. You watched the Justin Fields game. He was 6 for 20.
Oh, yeah. And obviously it's a lot of, who's around you and all that. But I even looked at, like going back to, some of the, quarterbacks in the past, some of their rookie seasons. What Troy Aikman was 0-11.
Yeah.
Elway was terrible. They were all terrible. Manning was terrible. I don't know if it's and I guess that's the question. Like, obviously now it is, what have you done for me lately? There's no patience. But is there more of that kind of in the New York media, as far as like, finding that franchise quarterback?
So I don't want to say there's patience. I mean, fans are definitely on edge. I mean, I hear the Zach Wilson's a bust. We should have taken Justin Fields talk a lot lately. At the same time, would Justin Fields come into this offense and still would he be better? Just like how if Zach Wilson went to the Bears and we switched quarterbacks, would Zach Wilson have gotten sacked 9 times? Probably.
Absolutely.
I mean, those. It's not like the Buccaneers. They had the whole team was stacked. They signed Tom Brady, their Super Bowl champion. That's years of coaching. That's years of building. Mm-hmm. These quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, are going to come in and make you a 10-win team. Well, Ben Roethlisberger did it. Yeah, he had a good team already. So the New York media is not really on Zach Wilson's butt. They're more on Mike LaFleur. Offensive coordinator, you got to make it easy. And some of these aren't really on LaFleur. Like there's some decent play calling that Zach just missed, or he has 11 drops in 3 games. I mean, you got to catch the ball for the young quarterback too.
So he's really, the receivers aren't necessarily helping him out then.
No, I mean, and what's weird is it's really uncharacteristic for Mims. Not Mims, I'm sorry. He's playing this week though, Jets fans. But Davis, he has 3 drops already this season. I mean, it's uncharacteristic to see Corey Davis drop some of these passes, but yeah, he has adjusted completion percentage of 70%. I mean, he's throwing 55, so that's 15% that he should have more, but we have drops and all these things going on. So 11 drops in 3 games. He's sacked 15 times in 3 games. And the receivers haven't really done much. More dropped a 50-yarder week 1, hit him in his hands. People were saying PI. It was a really good play by the defense. And I mean, I'm a Jets fan, but I'm also a defender. It was a good play by the defense. He should have caught it, hit him in his chest. Michael Carter had a really crucial drop last week. Hit him. Zach Wilson took a hit. It was a wally ball, but it hit him in the hands. And then the same drive, Corey Davis drops just absolute game-changing, momentum-driving drop. Would have put us in the red zone. So we're not really helping Zach. The people who are blaming Zach, the same people who are blaming Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, your team has to help them out.
Right. Yeah, and you talked about switching quarterbacks, and I listen to a lot of Chicago sports radio, and they talk about obviously the offensive scheme, game plan is helpful for obviously trying to get these rookie quarterback success, and they really haven't helped Justin Fields out at all. Mainly kind of with even the line protection, things like that. Are there some things specifically that the offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, could do to really even make Zach Wilson a little bit more successful? Oh,
absolutely. So last week, for example, so there is a drive, and it was Zach Wilson was 5 for 7. 2 of the incompletions were drops by Michael Carter and Corey Davis. It was quick 3-step drop, stick routes, slants. I mean, just very quick developing plays, and he looked perfect. Next drive, play action, long developing. He gets sacked. We go 3 and out. These are a lot of things that he's doing. Is even week 1, long developing plays, like all these plays that are 15, 20 yards downfield, you're not going to get your kid in a rhythm. You got to get Jaguars and Bengals game was a perfect example. Look how Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow played, because Joe Burrow is still pretty young. He played 6 games last year before he tore his ACL.
Mhm.
So he's not even 10 games into his NFL career. And both offensive coordinators got their young guys quick, easy completions, build up their confidence, and then let those long developing plays happen. It seems like our rookie OC wants the long developing plays to happen now and then set up the short game, and it makes no sense. So calling plays that are, I don't want to say simple, but he's a rookie. Don't throw the entire playbook at him. I know it's a Shanahan system. It's a lot of movement. Give him a simplified version, wait till year 2, and then build on that. I mean, we're not here to win games, right? So we don't need to see everything you got. Let him compete, let him get better, and let him score touchdowns. We don't want to get shut out anymore.
So, the question is, at least around Chicago as well, is, if a quarterback is going to get, sacked or, do really, be behind a poor line or whatnot, is it worth even having them in? Will the quarterback be ruined? Like here in Chicago, well, in Chicago media, they wonder about, whether all the being sacked and everything is going to ruin the confidence of Justin Fields. With all these interceptions, do you see maybe the losing, things like that? Would that like ruin Zach Wilson, or you like his kind of mindset?
Yeah, so kind of like I was spoken earlier, I think his mindset's awesome. If you don't have, I mean, and you're from Chicago, so they're kind of, I want to say a similar fan base, but they put a lot of pressure on their QBs because I think your most accomplished QB is Jay Cutler, right? So not a lot to live up to.
Sadly, yeah.
I mean, I love Joe Namath, but he had more interceptions and touchdowns, right? So like, it was never really pretty football. So I wouldn't say it's going to ruin him because he has a really good like head on his shoulders. Like he answers questions better than I could. And I'm over here on the TV looking at like, damn, I want to answer that way. So no, I don't think he's gonna get ruined. I think the fans are gonna ruin their image of him before anything. They're gonna look at this kid like, oh, I wanted Fields, or I wanted to keep Sam, or we couldn't even tank for Lawrence. So it's like, no, those kids are doing good. But look how he's answering questions compared to what Sam did.
That's what I say. Like, is that? I mean, was it because of Sam Darnold? Obviously everyone had a lot of high hopes for him. I remember the pick, and I wasn't, all that high on him. But is that kind of, what's really kind of, fans like, perception of Wilson?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm trying to like be nice about it, but a lot of people were very upset when we traded Sam, and he's a great kid. Like absolutely. Like I wanted Baker Mayfield. I really did. Like that's who I wanted. So when Baker went first, I was kind of like, who we grabbing now? Like are we trading? Right. And we grabbed Sam, which not a bad pick. Like he has all the talent in the world. All the talent's there. And it's kind of like Zach. Like Zach had one really great year, junior year, but Sam led college football in turnovers. Like he's a turnover worthy quarterback. Mm-hmm. And that's what he was for 3 years. Now, yeah, Gase hindered it, but people who blame Gase don't realize he did this with Todd Bowles. He did this in college. He did this everywhere he went. It's not just Gase, even though he was probably the worst head coach in history.
Yeah.
So, and then people went, well, look what Sam's doing in Carolina. Sam should do that in Carolina. I mean, look what Teddy did in Carolina. Like he looked like a above average. Now Sam is looking good. You can look good with Christian McCaffrey. You can look good with DJ Moore. You can also look good playing against teams who haven't won a game yet.
That's true.
So Sam had no excuse to be bad. If he was bad, then people could label him bust. But he should be good. That's all right. I think that's kind of what's ruining people's perception too. Is well, Sam's 3-0 and Zach's 0-3. Well, no quarterbacks won a game except for Mac Jones, who beat Zach Wilson.
Right. And obviously, the Panthers defense has played well. Also,
they're like number 1, I think, right now.
Right. And when you talk about even, either Zach Wilson or even, Sam Darnold, the receivers can really play a part as well. Oh God, yeah. Obviously Mims is not necessarily, well, he definitely hasn't lived up to his hype, right? Like, he didn't do well last year, right?
Yeah, so he missed some time last year, and what's rough is I can't blame all on Mims. I mean, there was a lot. This is where I blame Darnold. So I was on the keep Darnold train for most of the season. Like when people want Trevor, I was like, no, let's keep Darnold. Like all potential, right? Like I ended up falling in love with Sam. And then when Sam came back from injury, there was times where Adam Gase actually called a decent game, surprisingly. But I went back and watched him, and there was in this one play sticks in mind. Denzel Mims runs a drag route, wide open for God knows how long. Like just God knows how long. Wide open, crossing the field. It's on the sideline, standing still now until Sam finds him. Sam throws the ball to him and almost intercepted. Like Denzel Mims has to play defense. If he catches the ball, it's a touchdown. So it's where Sam Darnold kind of had this one read. I'm gonna stare you down, and like the happy feet. I was like, okay, Sam's not here mentally. Like Sam needs to, and that's when I started like turning to let's get Sam out of here. So Denzel Mims, when he was on the field, he made plays. Like he was always guaranteed like to make one or two awesome catches. Chargers game, he made a catch over Casey Hayward that I had no idea how he caught. And even like week 1, he played 3 snaps this week in week 1 and caught a 40-yard pass, the longest pass of the Jets season so far.
So the talent's really there with Mims then.
The talent's there, and I think a lot of people right now, this is like the big debate on Jets Twitter is Denzel Mims is why is he not playing week 2 and week 3, and why do you only get 3 snaps week 1 is I feel like there's something else going on that the coaches aren't really telling us. Like if it's really the playbook, I understand, but you got to get like some of your best players in there. You have to scheme from. That's a good coach, like rookie or not. Like if you don't like the guy, just come out there and say that. I'll respect you more. Don't give me this whole he doesn't know the playbook crap. But I think it's kind of like mentally going on. Like he lost a lot of weight
with COVID, right?
I think he actually ate salmon, like bad salmon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He ate bad salmon. He lost like 15 pounds. So he missed almost all of mini camp. He missed a lot of preseason. And so he missed time with Zach Wilson. And that's important as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was just something else going on in training camp that we did not know about. And Saleh's just taking the fall for it because that's the kind of coach he is. Like he's like, you know what? Like, hey, I know you guys are gonna be pissed, but it's my decision. And I respect that. That's what I'm gonna believe just to make me feel better. But it kind of just like looks like that. I don't want to say in this professional league, Michael LaFleur doesn't like the guy, so he's not going to play him. We're 0-3. You better play the damn dude.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, it does, the receivers, it's, all about, do you trust your receivers? And obviously if Zach Wilson hasn't had that time with Mims, maybe he doesn't trust him yet either. I don't know if they've just been, or whatever it is, like with the other receivers, obviously, how long will Corey Davis be? It's Corey Davis, right?
Yeah.
How long? I mean, he was underwhelming for a while. Then he obviously had the breakout year last year, right? And I was wondered, was that a good pickup? And obviously, how long is his deal then with the Jets?
3 years, $37 million, which is really nice because Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar are making more money yearly than him. So,
okay.
Oh yeah, dude. So Joe Douglas is a financial just mongrel, and I really like the Corey Davis signing. There's some people now who within 2 weeks have said he's no longer a wide receiver 1. He sucks. Blah blah blah. Week 1, he showed he's wide receiver 1. 5 catches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. If that's not wide receiver 1 versus a number 1 defense, I don't know what is. Bill Belichick has a great scheme of getting rid of number 1 receivers. Like we heard it all over Twitter, and we expected Corey Davis to still have 100 yards. Like, no. And then week 2 was underwhelming for like 4 catches for like 30 yards or 40 yards. Like, yeah, that sucks, but your wide receiver 1 is not going to have 100 yards every game, especially with a new offense and a new quarterback.
And a lot of that, is on game plan too. If they're going to take them away, and obviously that goes to the other receivers, hopefully Mims, obviously he can develop into a great wide receiver, but Elijah Moore, what have you really seen out of him?
So he's getting open, and his route running is just out of this world, especially for a rookie. Week 1 was really rough because he had 2 early drops, and then he had a 22-yarder called back. So his rookie debut was 1 catch, -3 yards because it was on a screen. So not a great debut, right? Week 2 comes in, and I think he finally gets to the board with like 4 catches, and then last week around the same gets a concussion, so he's out this week. And that's growing pains. Like the 2 drops, and he's not known for his drops. So again, like uncharacteristic for Davis and Moore and all these people who drop the ball. But he looks good. Like he's getting open. Like when you watch the tape, he's getting wide open, and it's kind of the same thing that Justin Fields had. Is he had no time. Zach Wilson is doing a play action. By the time he turns around, nose tackles there saying what's up. So he can't get the ball downfield.
Yeah. And that's, if you can't have the, play developed, then you really, you need to have that time. And obviously, the Jets don't have all those pieces yet. So if he's getting open, but that's huge. That's why I've really been on Devontae Smith, because like he just can get open, and that's what it is in the NFL. You see some of these players, these wide receivers that are supposed to be studs, but they just can't get open. And obviously, if Elijah Moore can get open, that can be great for the Jets' offense going forward.
Oh yeah, there was a play last week where it could have been a 60-yard touchdown, but I believe our right guard, Greg Rotten, just gets absolutely thrown on his butt, and Zach Wilson has to take the sack. And it's like, as a fan, you see it on the TV, and you're sitting there clutching your head because he's open, he's open. But they're getting there, and they're a young team. There was a play, and this is going around Jets Twitter, where Mike LaFleur called it looks like 3 receivers going to the same spot on a 3rd and 6. But we know two receivers probably ran the wrong route, and people are getting mad at him because if Denzel-Mims doesn't know the playbook, then how are we running the wrong route here? So receivers just got to do a little bit better, helping out the young kid. But Crowder comes back this week. Mims is active. So I know we lost Elijah Moore this week, but we're also getting 2 talented receivers as well.
Yeah, Crowder was really good last year. He's kind of fantasy-wise, I snuck him into my lineup and got some wins. I mean, I think, how long is he going to be with the team?
I don't think much longer.
Right.
If he finishes the season, then he's probably gone. Because I think he's done after this year, or he has like an option year. I doubt he's on the team at the end of the year.
But between Mims, Moore, and Davis, that could be a good, solid, receiving core for Zach Wilson to really grow with.
Oh yeah, it's definitely better than Brashad Perriman. So that much. That was our wide receiver 1 last year. We let Robbie Anderson go, and Joe Douglas even said that was a mistake. But replacing Robbie with Brashad Perriman was tough to watch.
And what about was it Braxton Berrios?
Braxton Berrios, I really like him. He is a solid wide receiver 4 or 5 on a team. He gets a lot more targets on our team, and it's nothing bad. He's actually a pretty decent receiver. I think people hear the name Denzel-Mims and Elijah Moore, and they're like, why is Braxton Berrios getting 7 catches? Well, because he's a pretty damn good receiver. He gets open. If he's open, get the ball to him.
Right. Well, that's why you get even on the Bills, like Cole Beasley, he gets a lot of targets. That happens, and you need those role players and other kind of offensive players. What about the tight end situation?
Oh God, atrocious. So Chris Herndon was there. I mean, as you know, the dude rookie year popped off, and I think everybody held on to that because he had. And you think about it, he had that one-handed catch versus the Packers where he took a hit, and everyone kind of was like, "Oh, that's our tight end. He's gonna be a stud." And then just 2 underwhelming years, drop passes. There was a game where he had no catches in the first 3 quarters. Finally gets on the board with a catch and then fumbles. You're like, oh, you do something right, then you fumble it. So Joe Douglas trades him for a 4th, and he has no catches for the Vikings. But thank you, Vikings.
Right.
But we signed Tyler Kroft. And I like Tyler Kroft. He's a great blocking tight end, and he's actually a reliable receiver. Because Ryan Griffin and Daniel Brown just need to get off my team. I don't know why they're playing tight end in the National League. Even Ryan Griffin got hurt and said he'll never be 100%. So I don't know how he's on the team still.
Yeah, it seems like you've got kind of some journeyman tight ends. Obviously, Kroft was with the Bengals for a while, and he was with the Bills, I believe, as well. But I remember Kroft having some good games with the Bengals, but obviously not that number 1 tight end that you really want to balance the offense.
And he just seems like going into week 3, the most sure-handed player we have, which is funny. He made a diving catch last week before he hurt his chest. That was. I mean, it was a good throw. It was great coverage, and he came up with the catch. And I was like, "How did you catch that?" Corey Davis can't catch a simple pass, but you catch that. So he looks good. I think if he can, I would like him back next year, a tight end too, and maybe go draft a rookie tight end. Jeremy Ruckert, Charlie Collar, come to my mind, or the kid from UCLA is really come onto the scene. Can't pronounce his last name, Greg something.
Okay,
but I really like Charlie Collar coming out of Iowa State. Those are some of the guys.
So, we talked a little bit earlier about, coaching Robert Saleh. Is he really kind of the answer? Obviously, he seems to be a player's coach if he's kind of almost taking one for the team,
Yeah. I love Robert Saleh. So when we were doing the coaching hire, I didn't do any research on him because all I heard was he's not going to the Jets. He's going to go to the Lions because the whole Council of Detroit wrote the team to hire Robert Saleh. So I was like, okay, right. I'm gonna go study on Brian Dobal, Eric from the Chiefs, and who else did I really want? I think those were my 2 men. I really wanted Brian. That was my main dude because I saw what he did with Josh Allen, and this is when I was still on the keep Sam train.
Oh, right.
I was like, hey, if he can do it for Josh, like come do it for Sam. And
Mhm.
then I hear that Saleh interviewed. I'm like, I'm gonna do some research and see how good this guy is. I was like, that dude needs to like be like he needs to sign today. And I remember when he left, Jets fans were freaking out. Like he got into a plane to go to Philly, and Jets fans were so mad. And the very next day, he ends up being the coach. I absolutely love him. I think he's great. I mean, top 10 defense with one of the youngest team in the NFL, and we're top 10 in defense. Like that's pretty impressive. And I love the hires he's made. Especially the Greg Knapp. I mean, rest in peace. I mean, it's a really tough loss, but like he's hiring all the right people. I think Adam Gase had 9 people on his staff last year. We're up to 19 with Robert Saleh's staff.
Oh, wow.
So he's putting bodies in the right spots. And that's kind of like the CEO part of what we wanted, is where he's not just, oh, I'm an offensive genius like Adam Gase, so I'm only going to focus on offense. Like he's everywhere. I love that.
And that's really what you need. I mean, that's what you obviously Gase did that. Matt Nagy is similar to Gase. He thinks he's offensive genius, and now is really running into problems because he's not able to give over the play calling. And you really do, as a head coach, need that CEO that getting the right people and trusting the right people, and obviously Robert Saleh. I mean, saw that even he was with the 49ers, just how much of he's kind of a rah-rah guy too, right?
Yeah, I love that. So he has some of the most energy I've seen on the sideline since Skinny Rex Ryan, dude.
Skinny Rex Ryan.
I mean, Big Rex was running down the field, but Skinny Rex Ryan was also just, I mean, he could run a lot faster. So Rex was probably the most animated person on the sideline, and Saleh brings that back to the team, and that's what we're kind of missing. Rex went back to the AFC, back to champions, back to back, right? And that's because we had that team fighting for a coach that they really respected.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see that with Gase. Bulls had no emotion. You didn't see that with any of those other guys. So I think what Saleh needs to kind of focus on, these are all rookie coaches. So he'll learn is you got to keep your coaches more accountable. So I know he's never going to throw his players or coaches under the bus like how Gase would do with like Coleccio Assembly and stuff like that. But he's got to keep Mike LaFleur a little bit more true to our nature. So preseason, like if you look at the games, it feels like we're calling a completely different game for Zach. Like we did rollouts, really quick throws for him, and we're not doing that anymore. Week 2, we ran the ball 31 times for 151 yards. Last week, 13 times for like 40 yards. And it's like, at what point are you gonna be like, hey, Mike, like why are we getting away from what we're good at? Let's go, like just keep those guys honest. But I think he is the future. I think he's the answer. I think Joe Douglas' plan was to get Adam Gase out and get Sam Darnold out and get Saleh and Zach Wilson all on the same contract, and it's live or die by Saleh and Wilson.
And that's what I think you need. You definitely need, they definitely needed, to clean house and, you really have a fresh start. And, obviously, this year, it's not going to be, Super Bowl or bust. What do you see kind of the win total, prediction for this year?
So I was looking at the schedule right before this, and I right now we're playing the Titans on Sunday without AJ Brown and Julio Jones. I do think we win that game. If we can give Zach Wilson some time, and if the coaches do what they're saying, like Mike LaFleur came out and took a lot of responsibility this week. Like I got to be better. Let's see it. Like this is a team that just has Derrick Henry, top 10 defense. We held Saquon Barkley to 1 yard. Just contain Derrick Henry. Like, let's win this game. So there's a chance I think we go 2-3 in the bye week. So 2-3, because we play the Falcons next week. I think we win 4 to 5 games. Honestly, I don't see us winning much more. So if we go 2-3 in the bye week, I think fans will be happy with that. 4 to 5 is pushing it. If you would ask me before this season, I would have said 6, 8 on a good day if things fell our way, but that means a lot has to go on, which means Zach Wilson has to click, Mike LaFleur has to click. There's a lot of fans who expected wild card spot, and so you guys have to know, like rookie coach, rookie offense coordinator, defense coordinator, rookie QB, youngest team, very unlikely. But so 5 wins.
So I don't know about you, but knowing the Bears are not contenders, right? And I always root for the Bears, right? But in a way, when they're not going to be good, I kind of I don't mind if they lose more games because obviously they can be higher in the draft.
Oh yeah.
As far as I think the Bears don't necessarily have their number 1 pick this year, but I mean, how are you if they were a 1-win team? I mean, and they had that number 1 pick. again.
So if they end up getting the number one pick as a one team, it depends on what I'm seeing at the end of the year. If I'm seeing Zach Wilson 2 touchdowns, 7 interceptions every 3 games, and he's in the 20s for interceptions and barely breaks double digits touchdowns, I'm going to be a little worried. I mean, so what I want to see is progression. So if we're losing games close, shootouts, and it's 35-28, fans are going to feel a little bit better because we're scoring points, because I think we averaged like 13 points last year or 14 points. So if you're giving me 28 points consistently, sometimes in 30s, and we're losing games on field goals, we're going to be all right. And then we just go grab a weapon. But people who are mad that we didn't get Trevor Lawrence, we didn't deserve Trevor Lawrence. We weren't as bad as the Jaguars. We're still not as bad as the Jaguars. They're about to lose their 20th game if they lose next week. Right? So we're all right. I'm telling people, I'm trying to tell touchdowns, we're cool. We're in a good path. We have the staff in place, and if we get number one, all right. And Joe Douglas is a guy who will. All right, do we need to take the edge from Oregon, or do we need to trade back and make sure we get the kid from Iowa? Because right now, I would prefer him. If we were guaranteed to get, hey, do you want the edge from Oregon or Iowa? You want the center from Iowa? I want the center, because our offense, you got to protect Zach, you got to protect Justin, you got to protect your franchise kid. You signed Carl Lawson to be that edge rusher. Let him be that edge rusher. Let him come back from his Achilles, because he looked like he was going to have a 20-sack season. This kid was just, I don't know if you ever looked at him, but that's because it looks like he was built out of a lab. So
So really, obviously, it sounds like, the Jets really have, pieces on defense. And so it sounds like they've really, got some pieces to put together. And I don't know, if there's a lot of kind of hope, for the future, and it's, tough to project, a couple years out, but, how far away are they really from contending?
It's a great question. So next year, hopefully, next year or 2 years for sure. I remember telling my friend who was the Rams fan about, Zach Wilson stuff. He goes, after the draft and after Saleh, he goes, you guys are 2 to 3 years away from being a really good team where I don't want to play. And that's from a Rams fan who's doing this year, 3-0. They look good. So he understands, and fans understand, and all the players understand how good Saleh is and how good he can be as an NFL coach. And you hear all these professional analysts look at Zach Wilson, talk about him, and all these Elijah Moore and all these players. You just got to come together. And this is part of the growing pains of being the youngest team. That's what I'm trying to tell people. It's we're the youngest team in the NFL. In 2 to 3 years, there's still a good chance we're still top 5 of one of the youngest teams in the NFL. But you're going to have 2 to 3 years of experience now. So you just keep adding these young core pieces and go get a Carl Lawson or free agency, and you keep CJ Mosley, who's just looking amazing. Go get rid of, and May's probably going to be gone, but go get some of these veterans and rookie just studs. And next year we should compete. I'm not saying maybe playoffs, but we should compete, at least be an 8 to 10 win team.
Well, and obviously, in the New York market, it seems like the Giants are going the opposite way.
Very rough.
And with the defense, and obviously, the Rams, kind of ascended to the Super Bowl with their defense. It seems like the Jets have, from what you've said, some definitely solid pieces to really kind of go, start to really progress. And then obviously if Zach Wilson does, I mean, you see all those positive things. You don't see that with the Giants. So
yeah, no. So I mean, that's the issue with taking a running back number 2. And I'm not Saquon's an awesome running back. He's an awesome player, but I'll take the Patriots, for example. You have let's say Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones left. That's the time you take a running back. When you have everything else in place, when you have a Tom Brady and you have an awesome line and you have a second pick, take a running back. Don't take a running back pick 2 if you have 10 different pieces, because they're a luxury. And I think Le'Veon Bell kind of changed my heart to that, because you sign this guy for $50 million and he gives you a 700-yard season and then has a beef with the coach. And that's not Saquon, but it's not good football.
Well, yeah, and they're obviously in the league, they have less time. Obviously, the quarterbacks are going to be there longer. The shelf life of the running back is just not what some of the other core positions are.
Yeah, and then you take Saquon at 2, and then you work him until he tore his ACL or Achilles. ACL, right?
I think so. It was.
You worked him because you have Daniel Jones as your quarterback, who he looks a little better this year, but he's a an average quarterback at best. So
Right.
you overwork Saquon, he gets hurt, and now your number 2 pick is worthless because he hasn't looked good this season.
Well, this has been fantastic. I definitely I appreciate all of your knowledge on the Jets. I like to hear all of these things because, quite frankly, I play fantasy football and I know some of the pieces, but I've definitely learned a lot about the Jets defense, going forward. And I might even become a Jets fan here.
Do it, man. I mean, it's a test. It's definitely a test.
Well, we have something in common. We have Mark Sanchez in common. So
love me some Mark. See, Mark got put as the biggest bust in Jets history on an article last year, and Jets fans rioted. We hated that. He led us to 2 championships. Mark, we love you.
Yeah, I'd say, and he really, well, now he's, doing his announcing stuff. So
he's doing great. He sounds good up there.
He does. Well, I definitely appreciate, obviously you joining me, and I go ahead and obviously, follow you on Twitter. You're on.
Yeah, just on Twitter. So I like to just post about my Jets takes and just interact with fans. So if you guys want to follow me, it's NYJets @ Mikey J. And I appreciate you having me, dude. I've always wanted to come talk about the Jets and let people know that we're here. And we're not always, Jets fans kind of get this negative perception, but we're just passionate and we're loyal. We're tired of the bad football.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. And obviously catch him on at NYJets _ Mikey J on Twitter. And this has been NFL Outdated Cover 2 series on the New York Jets. Thanks again.
No, thank you for having me.